All right, guys, we're here, part 2 of half guard passing. Okay, so you can kind of watch these videos in any order, either way. The first video, we talked about chest to chest half guard. So in this video, we're going to be just talking about getting to chest. If you want to learn how to finish from chest to chest half guard, I recommend you watching the first video. Okay, this one's all going to be about dealing with the knee shield and approaching the half guard when your opponent has frames. Cool. Let's get started. Nate will be on his back. Okay, so oftentimes, like when you get in the half guard, the biggest thing you're met with is the knee shield and your partner's frames, right? That's the only thing that's preventing us from getting chest to chest. So for those of you that are new, right, it's important to understand once we get to half guard, the goal is to get chest to chest here. And then from chest to chest, we'll be able to mount our opponent. Okay, so let's talk about how to deal with the knee shield. Now, to me, okay, and the most effective way I see that it's being executed now, especially like in the game of like if you're into no-gi, right, with a lot of the leg locks, right? I think knee cut I think half guard's the fundamental position, and then somewhere along the line, knee cut became the big thing, and everyone started passing more from their feet. So using knee cut was more popular than passing on your knees in half guard, right? So if you watch back in the day, you'll see a lot of passing on the knees. You'll see a lot of half guard passing, Hodger Gracie era, right? You'll see all that. And then along the line, the modern jiu-jitsu became knee cutting, right? But now you're seeing, right, people inverting, getting in on the leg locks. So knee cutting is kind of getting a lot harder to finish. You don't see it as much, right? That's why I think half guard, in my opinion, is the ultimate way to approach passing. Right, I was taught this, funny enough, as a blue belt, right, or a variation of this by one of my first instructors, Dave Camarillo. He used to always tell me, man, just force half guard. And I never really understood what he meant, or I understood what he was talking about. I didn't really see the importance of it until later on in my jiu-jitsu journey, once I started fighting MMA and started really focusing on pinning, right? Now, especially with this new era of jiu-jitsu, where people are getting really good at attacking the legs, we need to eliminate as much exposure for our partner to get underneath us as we can. So I think passing on the knees is going to be the new wave back. And you're kind of seeing this concept. You're seeing guys like Gordon Ryan use this. Okay, so I was taught as we use the word sprawl, like we call it the sprawl pass. I think Gordon Ryan refers to it as inside camping. So if you look up any of his instructionals or whatever videos he's posting about this, you'll see him refer to it as that. I'm going to break down how I like to do it and the key points on what we're actually doing and what we need to focus on. Okay, so when we're in the half guard, first things first, I would like my knee to be right behind my partner's knee here. Okay, now of course I can already anticipate the knee shield's going to be here, the frames are going to be there. Okay, so the knee behind the knee. My foot, I actually want to step fairly high up, okay? I always use the shoulder as a guideline. So I want to step at the shoulder line, post my hand down, okay? And now here's the important part. To apply pressure, so this is just for the base. To apply pressure, I want to keep the tension on my posting leg, and I want to sprawl my right hip down, sprawl my right hip. So it's more of a rotation and less of like a kick my legs back, okay? I'm sprawling, okay? Sprawling my hip, rotating, okay? At the same time, notice how I come off of my back leg. I'm gonna drive my head over Nate's far shoulder here, okay? And I'm trying to hang here. Okay, now obviously this is an exaggerated version because Nate's not actively framing me. We'll back up a little bit, okay? So knee behind the knee, hand on the ground or knuckles on the ground, posting. Okay, Nate, can you give me some frame? Like really press here. And I'm just driving my weight over the far shoulder and I'm just sprawling. I'm sitting here. I think that's why Gordon refers to it as camping, because I'm just camping on him, just staying here, staying heavy, right? What I'm trying to do is wear out my partner's frames, okay? Well, first off, I'm trying to occupy the frames. So if Nate has to bear my weight, he's not making grips. If he's not making grips, he's not off balancing me. Second thing, probably more so in no-gi, is more as like, or even in the gi, but you're wearing them out. Having to brace that weight for long periods of time fatigues your opponent, right? So that's what I want to do. I want to create the most amount of weight on my opponent's frames, and then I'm going to use that to move around to get to chest to chest. So let me show the first option. Okay, we're here. Boom. I'm camping. I'm putting that weight. So every time Nate extends me away, I'm putting that weight here, pressuring down like I'm kind of like a wet blanket, heavy. Okay, constantly turning my hip out as I'm driving my weight down here. Okay, now the first one, right? You might be met with an initial kind of like bench press here. So as soon as I'm met with that, I'm going to bring my knee to the hip, step my leg through, okay, and then I'm going to pummel my hand, and then we can sink to chest. Again, this is a great pin, right? Because now Nate can barely move, especially with that leg shelved, okay? Now it's going to be very easy for us to adjust, okay, and pass to mount. Okay, if you guys want to see more details on that specific pass, again, watch half guard passing part 1. Okay, we're just focusing on getting to chest. So that's the first one, right? Sprawl pass right to half guard. Okay, now the biggest counters, okay, from this position, the first one, okay, so again, if he just gives a little bit of push, this might be on the initial weight, I'll sink back, drive my knee to the hip, we'll step through. Okay, we could call that half mount, just to label it. The second thing my opponent will probably do is not only will they frame, but they'll slide that knee shield lower to get my weight back. Okay, now as soon as I feel that knee shield press into me, I want to change my structure, drive my head right down to the far shoulder, okay? And then again, camp over the top, creating as much weight, right? Making my opponent carry all my weight. So I'll do this very slow. I'm putting that initial pressure. Nate goes low knee shield. He stretches, and I drive my head to the far shoulder. Okay, go ahead and keep framing Nate. Sorry, that's going to be tiring. Okay, now from here, notice what I'm going to do. Look, I'm gripping Nate's tricep. My head is onto Nate's shoulder. My goal is going to be to put his back to the mat here. So turn this way, or actually we'll keep this angle. So watch the initial. He goes, I tripod head down, right? And I'm driving. Look, I'm stepping this leg up, and I'm keeping that shoulder down. Okay. Sorry, I'm going to lose this mic probably multiple times in this video, but we're here. Still on. Okay. We're here, heads down. Go ahead, frame me. Boom, here. Okay? Now I'm going to turn. Take a look at my feet. When I've engaged all of my opponent's frames, okay, his 2 arms, his knee shield, what I'm going to do with my right foot is I'm going to pivot my hip, and I'm going to pummel over here. Okay? If Nate's hooking with his toes, okay, I take my feet, I slap the top of my foot on the mat, and then I pummel out. Okay, now from here, already Nate's frames are burning out from holding my weight. Well, look, let's rotate this way. Okay. Head down. Okay, turn, I pummel. Okay, from here, I'm going to drop my knee close to the armpit. Okay, and I'm going to switch my hip here. Okay, now from here, what you'll find, okay, my hand will probably end up in either a crossface or a near side underhook. Okay, but you'll find when I switch the hip, it's really hard for my opponent to keep the knee shield. But you can anticipate they're going to be stubborn about letting them pass this. So from here, okay, as I switch my hip, you can use your hand, okay, to shove the foot down as you step over. Then right away, I'm going to switch my hip the other way. Let's rotate here. Okay. So I'm in that leg. I pummeled my foot through. I drop my knee. I switch my hip, clear the foot, and then right away, I switch my hip again to the side smash, okay, to avoid being thrown off here. Okay, now from here, okay, I'm going to pin. I'm going to keep my head down. Nate's probably going to be trying to open his knees, so I want to stay heavy. Okay, now I get the second underhook. Okay, I'm going to bring my knee over the top, and then I'll mount here with 2 underhooks. Okay. So I'll show that one more time all together. Okay, I put that initial weight. He goes low knee shield. I tripod, walk my weight up, turn my hip, pummel, drop my knee, switch my chest, switch my hip, pass the leg, sprawl. Good. All right. sprawl, underhook, head comes across, knee comes over the top, we mount, okay? Now, a variation of that. Maybe you're going against someone big, really strong, or someone with really long legs. They got a long knee shield, okay? So when I'm putting that pressure, Nate goes almost like really low knee shield, or like Z guard, right? Some people call it. He really extends away. Now it's like really hard for me to get my head to the shoulder. So what I'm gonna do is with this hand, I'm gonna wrap the hip. My head's gonna go straight to the floor. Boom, right here. Okay, now from here, you guys can see my feet. I'm gonna take that same approach, slap the top of my foot, pommel over, okay? Now I'm gonna switch my chest all the way over the hip, shelf with my near side knee, step and wrap up the legs, okay? Here, and then now we can start sliding up to mount once my opponent stops bridging, okay? Or once we've eliminated that bridge. So I'll turn, we'll do it from this angle here. So Nate goes low knee shield Z guard right here. Boom, he kicks me away. I can't get my head to the floor in tripod, so I can't get my head to the shoulder in tripod, so I go head to the floor as I wrap the hip. Slap my foot to the top of the mat. Here, step my leg up, switch my chest over. Okay, so all my weight's on the hips. Now I'm gonna bring my left knee underneath. Okay, and I'm gonna take a big step over. Okay, notice how my knee is shelving. Okay, my left knee is shelving his hip. My right leg comes over. I lift and scoop. Okay, right, you'll see, again, Khabib Nurmagomedov, I think, is the #1, right, at doing this. He's kind of the one that exposed this technique, I think. Really good to execute. Of course, you could slide right to mount, but when you hook your partner's legs and completely straighten them, right, they're not bridging after that. Okay, all they can do is push with the arms, and it's not going to be a lot of force because Nate can't plant his feet on the ground. So I think especially from this variation, you're right on top of the hips, so lock up the legs. Now from here, once I have 2 underhooks and my opponent settled down a bit, then I can release and slide up the body to work towards a finish. Okay, so those are the first 2. Okay, the last one, right, is going to be from here. Okay, the last one's going to be the same situation, but instead of trying to like really extend away, okay, my opponent tries to underhook my leg. Okay, and I'm going to show there could be 2 different ways they place the frames. Let's just talk about a basic one. So I'm putting the weight. Nate's just framing on my shoulder for now. We'll do the armpit second. Okay. Nate's bracing my weight. Okay. But instead he brings his knees to his chest and he tries to point his knees that way so he can underhook my leg and take me over to like an X guard or to sweep, right? So from here, as soon as I feel that shift here and he underhooks my leg, okay, I'm going to reach over. I'm going to drop my knee 1 to kill that momentum. 2, I'm going to reach over the shoulder. Let's rotate. Reach over the shoulder and switch my hip here. Now to deal with the knee shield, okay, I'm going to underhook the foot and grip on my partner's tailbone here. Now I'm going to walk my hand up as I walk my hips out. And notice how the knee shield pops off here. Okay, now as I walk towards the hip, we adjust, and now we're chest to chest where we can work to further pin our opponent and then pass. Show that again. Okay, and then sometimes you could even do this even if they don't underhook the leg. Like if I'm just on Nate here, right, and I feel like he's being stubborn, I can already reach over the top and just voluntarily go to this. It doesn't have to be when he hooks the leg. I just like to use it when they hook the leg because I can trap their arm momentarily as I reach over. So I'll show that again. Here I'm putting pressure. Nate underhooks, so right away, drop your knee, sit back to kill that momentum from going over. Reach over the shoulder, okay, switch the hips, underhook the tailbone, or the foot, excuse me. Walk your hand up the tailbone, up to the waist, okay? And I'm gonna walk towards the hips. Now I've gotten rid of the knee shield. I can come back for the head or the near side underhook, and we'll continue to pass, okay? Now, you could also do that same thing. Another variation of how your opponent might grip is to go underneath the armpit, okay? You'll do the same exact thing, but you'll end up with a different overhook. It'll actually be underneath your partner's armpit. I'll show you what I mean. So Nate's gonna demonstrate what the person on bottom would do. So I'm putting pressure. Nate swims his hand underneath my armpit, and then he makes that grip. Again, he's using that because he's gonna try to kick me over the top to get under my hips, X guard or sweep, right? So if he takes that grip, we're still gonna do the same thing, okay? But when I drop my weight, when I switch, I might end up underneath the armpit here, okay? So everything would be the same, walk the hips, but while I'm underneath the armpit here, right? And this is something we didn't go into in the first video, only because it's very rare that you'll end up in this position, okay? But in this instance, okay, if I end up with my arm underneath Nate's armpit, the best way to approach finishing from this position is I'm gonna reach around and I'll cross face here. Much tighter actually with the arm. Now from here, I'll continue to pass the same way here. Now the best transition once he gets him out from here would probably be like a gift wrap of some sort or getting your partner to turn that way, okay? So that's it for dealing with the knee shield from half guard. In a video to come, we'll kind of talk about stemming off of that. I think is a great entry for then going into knee cut. But like I said, I think ironically, this is kind of like more old school passing, but I think this will be new again. I think this is going to be the new evolution, only because of where the state of where grappling is now, like with leg locks more specifically, like people getting underneath. Okay, I think passing half guard, one, more efficient. Two, I think it's going to be the safest going against those types of guards. And stay tuned because we're also working on another video where we're going to talk about the best passing system for leg lockers, since that's such a big topic now, especially for no-gi. So stay tuned for that. Please like and subscribe if you guys like the videos, and be sure to check out part 1 if you didn't already. Cool, thank you guys.